Good afternoon, 4 o'clock straight up on a Tuesday edition of On Cue. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. We got about an hour or so to play with inside the friendly confines of the SR 1029 FM, the game remote studios. You can certainly get social with me, as always, at Rich Q on Q. XIG. We are on a multitude of platforms X, YouTube, Rumble, Kicks, LinkedIn, SR 1029 FM, the game. If you check out the AUDACY app, you can search Coastal Sports Digital Network, and that's where you'll find me Monday to Friday. Hope everyone had a good Sports Monday. You're enjoying your Tuesday, the 27th of January 2026. We got about 60 to play with, as I alluded to. There's a lot of feistiness going on. You might hear Kiki in the background. She's trying to dig for gold, it sounds like. I mean, she's just absolutely on a warpath today. And this is what happens. It gets cold, you get the ice, you get the snow up and down the East Coast, New York, the corridor, DMV, and the pets go absolutely haywire. That's exactly what's happening right now. They go absolutely haywire because they're deciding, you know what? They start to get, what is that when you get a little, in the house, you get a little goofy in the house, right? You get a little, what is that? Cabin fever. Is it possible? And by the way, so here's another thing. I mentioned this yesterday on the air. If you don't shovel your driveway, okay, and then you start your car and the wheels friggin' spin, guess what? You're not getting out of the driveway. I have no idea what the hell is going on across the street, but it's like fascinating to watch. It should be reality TV. It's like for 24 to 48 hours, this car has not moved. It's just been spinning. It's like the scene of My Cousin Vinny when he turns around, you got mud. You ever hear something like that? No, I never heard of something like that. Well, it's an expression. It's a common expression in Alabama. Mud in the tires. Well, now you got sleet. You got ice. Stop trying to fucking get your car out of the driveway. I'm sorry, Kiki. Daddy's fine. I'm just getting a little annoyed. Stop. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. You got to let it warm up a little bit. I don't like dropping an F bomb on a Tuesday, on a thawed out Tuesday, not a Woosah Wednesday, but a thawed out Tuesday edition of On Cue. All right. Now we're good. All right. So, as I mentioned, we are powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. 20% off your first purchase. Get along, come along for the ride. 60 to play with. Again, at Rich Q on Q, X and IG. TikTok, Rich Q on the mic. NFL, another candidate spurns the Philadelphia Eagles. Buffalo Bills find their guy. They promote, which is not shocking, Joe Brady, the head coach, 5-year deal. Jets overhaul once again. You've got the Eagles situation. You got Stefanski deflecting with Baker. You got a couple of jobs that are still open in the NFL. I do want to kind of start, though. I like to move by the Buffalo Bills. Joe Brady's a very good offensive coordinator. You knew once Sean McDermott was fired, it's one of the reasons that you have a guy that's level-headed, that has that experience in Joe Brady. And look, whether we want to sit here and say it's a knee-jerk reaction by the Buffalo Bills after they lost to Denver in the divisional round, we've kind of seen a couple of knee-jerk reactions of late, a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking of late. So the move to me by Buffalo to move on from Sean McDermott was not as shocking as a lot of people are making it out to be. And I think Brady's going to have a fresh set of eyes. He's going to come in. Obviously, he's going to install the offense that he feels that he can kind of cater around Josh Allen and accentuate Josh Allen's positives, his skill set, right? So I know that when I look at Buffalo and I look at the AFC East, sure, the New England Patriots are representing the AFC East, are representing the AFC. They got to the Super Bowl, back to the Super Bowl. The Jets are going to have problems. Miami's going to have problems. There's no reason why Buffalo can't be right back there, a competitive team, a playoff team next season. There's absolutely no reason why. They have the talent. They have the talent. We all know that. And Brady's a young guy. He's only 36. It's a 5-year deal. But sometimes you need a fresh set of eyes, right? A fresh set of eyes. Now, Since promoting Brady week 11, 2023, the Bills are ranked first in EPA per play, second in points per game, 29. So we know they have great offensive weapons, and you're led by Josh Allen, MVP caliber quarterback. You've got an all-world running back, an all-pro in James Cook. You've got some good wide receivers. They're going to have to go out and get a little more depth, and I think they'll either trade and or draft or sign a big-time playmaking wide receiver in the offseason. But I like this move by the Buffalo Bills. I think they kept it in-house for a reason because of the goofiness with the owner, the goofiness with the GM. So again, you better dance with the devil you know than the devil you don't know. You got Josh Allen. He's going to turn 30 in May. You got a couple of years left with Josh Allen. Now, with the Philadelphia Eagles, Brian Daboll decides that he's going to take the offensive coordinator position with the Tennessee Titans. And this is where I think a lot of people, don't really know, quite frankly, what they're talking about. Just because someone is taking a job somewhere else, it doesn't mean that they frown upon or look down or say, this is the better spot for me than A, B, and C. So the fact that Daboll, which I told you, he was going to have to become a coordinator again, rebuild up the body of work, rebuild the equity, become an offensive coordinator, prove his point, and then maybe get a shot at a head coaching gig. And listen, the fact that he's going to Tennessee, you've got a young quarterback, you got a franchise that had an upheaval 4 or 5 games, okay, into the season. He's going with a defensive-minded guy right now in Robert Saleh, right, who's taken over the Tennessee Titans as their head coach, a defensive-minded guy. You're bringing in Brian Daboll, who's a good offensive coordinator, just really wasn't a good head coach, right? And again, Saleh was a guy that served as the Jets head coach the same time Daboll was coaching the Giants. And Daboll's been around the block. Like, let's, again, offensive coordinator, he did wonders. He cut down Josh Allen's turnovers. He turned Josh Allen, into a pure pocket passer when need be instead of this riverboat gambler. And I think, again, he also has that resume, track record, experience built in, the football acumen from obviously learning under a guy in Bill Belichick as well. I mean, think about that. He spent a large part of his career with multiple stints as an assistant with the Hoodie in New England. So I think right now, this is it's a good opportunity, right? Because he's worked with Allen. He's worked with Jackson Dart. He coached Jalen Hurts and Tua in college, his lone season in Alabama in 2017. He's been around the block. Now he's going to be, it's going to be a challenging task, a daunting task to help turn around Cam Ward. And the Titans believe that Cam Ward is a franchise quarterback. It's one of the reasons they selected him number 1 in last year's draft. And I thought the kid had some moments. He threw for close to 3,200 yards, which was the most ever by a franchise rookie. He finished with 15 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. So I think the fact that Tennessee only averaged about 16 points a game, they want to build upon that. But people are looking at this now and saying, well, Brian Daboll didn't want to take the Philadelphia Eagles head coach, offensive coordinator job. So, what is he thinking? What is he doing? He's a clown. It doesn't make sense. No, you got it all wrong. I mean, you're so far off. You're so far off with that. Just because he decides to go to Tennessee, it's not an indictment, okay, on the Philadelphia Eagles. It's not. I think he's going somewhere where he believes I can help and groom a franchise quarterback. And I can be here for the next 3, 4, 5 years, and I can develop my chops. If I can turn Cam Ward into a legitimate all-pro, a franchise quarterback, maybe, an MVP caliber quarterback in year number 4, 5, 6, then hell, I got an opportunity to become a head coach again. So this is not about, spurring other franchises. I think the issues go a lot deeper with the Philadelphia Eagles that I believe are right in front of our eyes, but nobody wants to say it out loud. Like if I'm a potential offensive coordinator and I'm looking risk to reward in the NFL, because that's what it's all about. If I'm a guy that was a head coach that got fired, like a Stefanski, like a Brian Daboll, like a McDaniel, like a Sean McDermott. Well, let's take those guys, for example. Out of all those head coaches, who basically has to build up resume and equity in the league? Well, hell, it's Sean McDermott. So if anything, Sean McDermott is thinking to himself, I'm not taking a step back. I won a lot of games. I won a lot of divisional games. I won a lot of titles. I made the playoffs. I won playoff games. I developed Josh Allen into this, all world, all pro MVP caliber, future Hall of Fame talent. So I'm not taking a step back. Hell, I'm not going to do that. But if you're Brian Daboll, if you're McDaniel, if you're Stefanski, and you saw and realized how the seasons ended, and you saw and realized, or you had the wherewithal to understand, okay, I lost a little bit of equity in the NFL. I lost a little bit of equity in the NFL. I need now to rebuild my resume. I need to rebuild my career. I got to get that arc back up. Do I not? So maybe you're more inclined to take that lateral position, go back to being offensive coordinator, which is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I think the underlying problem right now is pretty clear with the Philadelphia Eagles. I believe the Philadelphia Eagles offensively, it is a great landing spot for an offensive coordinator. You've got great weapons. You've got an offensive line. You've got a franchise quarterback. You have a running back still in his prime, even though he had a down year. If you keep A.J. Brown, you got an all-pro wide receiver. You have Devontae Smith. You have good tight ends. You have playmakers all over the place. Okay? All over the place. The problem is you've got all these awesome acts, these entertaining, wonderful acts, and you got the clowns out of running the circus. And that happens to be Nick Sirianni. And I honestly believe some of these head coaches are saying, as great as it would be to play with all these toys, I don't want to deal with this guy. I mean, I believe the elephant in the room, the issue, the problem, what is potentially scaring these guys away, and they're bringing in so many different candidates, is knowing that they would have to work under Nick Sirianni. And that's got to be a problem. That has to be a major problem that Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie have to look at. They should have. I granted. I understand they turned around and they won a Super Bowl after they imploded on the road against Tampa Bay. I get it. But they won that Super Bowl in spite of Nick Sirianni. They had coordinators in place. They regressed offensively. They regressed. So I'm looking at the Philadelphia Eagles right now. And again, I'm not going to sit here and keep going back and forth on the whole Jalen Hurts topic of conversation. Is he a franchise quarterback? Is he not a franchise quarterback? Can Jalen Hurts play? Is the offense dumbed down? Does Jalen Hurts know how to read defenses? Should he run more? Should there be more RPOs? If you take the tush push away, Jalen Hurts is an quarterback. That's for all you guys to decide, because the only thing I know that's factual is that he's gone to 2 out of the last 3 Super Bowls. He's outplayed Patrick Mahomes twice, and he was MVP in 1 win. And they could have won 2. That's factual. Everything else is smoke and mirrors. Everything else is smoke and mirrors. So, these reports and everyone's coming out that he's got this, his desired direction to have the offense, go in a different direction. And, I don't understand the vertical routes, and I don't understand how to utilize short passing, intermittent throw, all that kind of crap. I don't care. I don't. It's a singular. There's a reason. It's constant. All you got to do is look in one direction, and that's the head coach. That's the head coach. And again, it's not even speaking negative about the quarterback. The quarterback is not immune to criticism. When the quarterback plays poorly, the quarterback is going to get criticized. That's factual. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. But I just think I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Jalen Hurts is a dumb guy. He doesn't strike me as a dumb guy. He strikes me as a smart kid. Maybe he just doesn't say what you guys want him to say. Maybe he doesn't act or react the way you want him to react. And you guys think, well, you got to dumb it down. He's not giving me what I want to hear. Why? Because it's not fitting your narrative, your perception of how a quarterback should speak or act or walk around. I think Jalen Hurts, if you set a complex, diverse offense, I think he can run it. I think he could run it. He's shown that he can make plays. He's shown that he can play in the pocket. He's shown that he can take off and run. He's shown he can hit the deep ball. He's shown he can win consistently. Okay? So you want an offensive coordinator, quote, dumb it down? Have at it. What I'm saying, what I'm suggesting, what I've maintained, again, for a while now, it's not about the players. They've got ball players. They've got players. They've got skilled players. They got guys that can friggin' flat out ball out. What I'm saying is, I think, and I kind of almost know, that you're looking around and you're saying, well, yeah, they got weapons, but I don't want to deal with this head coach. I don't want to deal with this head coach. I don't want to have to deal with this clown. I don't want to have to worry about him. I don't. I want to go about my business. I don't want to have this guy look over my shoulder, tell me how I'm doing my job. Now, again, if you take it for what it's worth, that's actually a blessing in disguise, because if you bring in an alpha male as a coordinator and this offense starts going from 16 to 19 to 23, and everyone's comfortable in the pocket, they're getting their touches, they're getting their yards, they're getting their yak, they're getting their rack, they're getting their touchdowns, and they're scoring points, you're looking like a genius. And if they're struggling as a whole, or the head coach is having lapses, then all of a sudden you're strengthening your case to eventually take over for Nick Sirianni. So there's always, you have to look at the glass half full sometimes. We want to find the negative first. We want to sit there and we want to say, it's not going to work out. It's not where I want to be. This is a bad situation. It's a bad job. I don't want to travel. I don't want to get up early. It's not what I want to do. Okay, fine. Play the long game. Play the long game. Understand that this guy is on shaky ground. Understand that Nick Sirianni is on shaky ground. With his antics, theatrics, not firing Kevin Patullo, not going outside the building and hiring someone else, hiring his buddy, being reluctant to fire him, uberly loyal, never taking over the play calling, costing the Eagles games, costing them an opportunity to make a deep run in the playoffs because you don't have a capable, competent, confident offensive coordinator with all these weapons that I just mentioned. So they're looking around. The smart ones will say, you know what? This cat's in trouble. This cat's in trouble. Man, look what I got. I got Jalen Hurts. I got Saquon. Right? I got Tank. I got Dante. I got AJ. I got Goddard. I got Dotson. I got players. I got the other tight end. I got Shipley. I got players left and right. I can do some damage here, man. And if this jackass gets in a way and he gets fired, I'm right in line. Like, I feel as though it's the elephant in the room and the conversation that we don't want to have, which is bizarre. It's bizarre. It really is. You're at a job. I mentioned this. It might be apples and oranges, but think about this. You're at a job and you know for a fact that, listen, I know that I'm better than the supervisor and the manager, so I'm going to play the long game. I'm going to wait for these guys to fall on their ass, and then I'm going to take their job. Sirianni, because he's got such a friggin' ego, it's almost as though he wants to hire someone that is pretty much submissive. That's really what it comes down to. Like, I believe Nick Sirianni has such an ego that he does not want to bring somebody in that he knows will actually fix and help the team. As crazy as it sounds, like, that's his flaw. That is his fatal flaw, right? Because again, if I'm a coordinator, is it worth the risk to accept the job? If I think he's on shaky ground and I can play the long game, yes. But if I'm going in there and I have reservations that this guy's not going to listen to me, this guy's going to undermine me, this offense is not going to improve under me, even though I'm trying my best and I have all these great potential plays, schemes, schematics, everything in place, and this guy's holding me back, then guess what? There's pressure. And again, it's like The fact that the Eagles have said it without saying it is another reason that they're scared away. Without saying it, they basically are telling these offensive coordinators, you need instant success right now. And that's not how the NFL works. It's not how the NFL works. And right now, the franchise is kind of being misguided, mismanaged. The perception now is, well, what does that mean? I get one shot, one crack with a coordinator that, oh, by the way, is having another coordinator under his belt as a pro, all the way back to college, 5, 6, 7 different guys. I'm number 8. What if he struggles a little bit? What about the Boo Birds? What if we can't run the football? What if there's too much pressure on Saquon? What if he gets hurt? What if the O-line, crumbles? So again, whether you agree with it or not, that's the truth. And I'm telling you right now, this guy, Sirianni, doesn't have any type of leverage, any type of leeway when it comes to his coordinators. They built this roster to have sustained success. Okay? They built this roster for sustained success. To sustain it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. The Eagles franchise, as much as it pains me to say, they have been a model of consistency. They win, they get to the playoffs, they're right there every single solitary year. Yeah, there's going to be a down year, 1 or 2, but I'm telling you, man, the fact that they're putting pressure and it's outside noise because these guys talk amongst themselves that you got to win right away and you come in, you better be able to change this offense. Who the hell wants that pressure on them? Some should want it because they know, well, wait a second, man. Don't make me the scapegoat now. Make it the head coach. To hell with this. The head coach decides we're going to keep this guy, Kevin Patullo. And oh, by the way, after you get bounced and your offense does nothing in the wild card game at home against the 49ers, now you decide to save face and fire the guy. So you want to go with Gerard Johnson? You wouldn't go with Matt Nagy? Now, the only thing I'll say, on the field, they win. But you want to talk about turnover? That's never a good thing. It's a 5th straight year they're looking at a new offensive coordinator. Brian Johnson, Kevin Patullo, they were let go after one season, the last 2. So again, there's pros and cons, man, but I think a lot of it has to do with the head coach. You never want to take a job where you feel you have to walk on eggshells. And we've all been there. Where your manager, your supervisor, your boss, hell, I've had GMs, I've had market managers in the radio. I couldn't stand some of these friggin' guys. I kid you not. I kid you not. I wanted to friggin' just punch them in the jaw. I really wanted to knock some of these guys out. They were so ill-equipped to run radio stations. They ran them into the ground. And they had the shortest of fuses. And look, I can tell you this, I'll bark right back. I have no problem doing that. But you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you got to keep looking over your shoulder. And if you say something and you can't have a conversation like friggin' adults, then you're dealing with the immature child who's got the short fuse. And that's the problem with the Eagles. You've got this internal structure with all these expectations, i.e. the gold standard. And I get it, 2 out of 3 Super Bowl appearances and you won 1. Great. Now the rest of the league is starting to catch up. It's just fascinating to me. And then you get the flip side of that and you get the New York Jets. The New York Jets that decide, okay, we're going to, without saying it, we're going to say it. Like we're going to start, quote, cleaning house. I mean, it makes no sense. So you get rid of the offensive coordinator. This is my whole point with the Aaron Glenn friggin' hire. Aaron Glenn should have never been hired by the New York Jets. Aaron Glenn, at best, should have been one and done. So if you're firing everyone and their mother and you're cleaning house, how the hell in the world does the head coach still have a job? I'm overhauling my entire coaching staff. I got rid of the OC. I'm firing assistant. Get these ball guys out of here. These ball boys, secretaries, HR, see you later. Person who walks in my coffee. I'm firing everyone. We're 3-14. Clean house. And yet, Aaron Glenn still has a job. It makes no sense. It's a disaster of a hire. If I was the Jets, I would have fired Aaron Glenn, okay? And I would do it right now, knowing that Sean McDermott's out there. Now, Sean McDermott's not going to take the Jet job, but I would bring him in. I would get rid of Aaron Glenn and I would do anything. Hell, you should have turned around and got rid of Aaron Glenn and you hired Mike McCarthy. It is a disgrace what Aaron Glenn is doing inside that building, and they're allowing it. They're allowing it to go on. Why? Because the owner is a goofball that decides, well, you know what? I'm just going to throw a journeyman quarterback under the bus and in front of the media, pretty much paraphrase and say the quarterback sucks right now. The quarterback stinks. I mean, you're talking one and done. What are we doing here? One and done. 13 different play callers, 16 seasons. Who does that? What kind of franchise? How do you win games? Aaron Glenn is ill-equipped to be a head coach in the NFL. Aaron Glenn should have been fired. This team rolled over. They quit. It was an abomination. You give up 34 against the Miami Dolphins. You give up 40 friggin' 8 against Jacksonville. You give up 29 against the Lonely Saints. The New England Patriots could have put up 60. Then you give up 36 against the Bills. Are you kidding me? We're going to fire everyone. How do you believe in this guy? He stinks. He's not a head coach. He's not a leader of men. He's a freaking clown. And he backtracks. He 180s. He pushes the goalpost back every chance he gets. My God. It's like the lesser of two evils. You're talking about a potential opportunity with the New York Jets, or I give you the Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator job, and you got to deal with the clown Nick Sirianni. And if you do what you're supposed to do and Sirianni gets fired, chances are you're going to have an opportunity to be head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Folks, play the long game. But we don't want to do that. All right, 27 past 4 o'clock hour. Cranking up. Got a lot of comments. I want to rip through them. So as I mentioned, a lot of NFL stuff to get into today. Still some vacancies out there. We'll dive into it. We'll open it up. Don't forget, you can get social with me at Rich QNQ. TikTok. Of course, TikTok, Rich Go to Mike. Kicks, Rumble, YouTube, SR1029, FM The Game, Coastal Sports Digital Network, AUDACY app. Definitely connect with us there. Got a new platform we'll announce too before we get out of here. But I want to roll into your comments on this Tuesday edition of On Cue. We'll get to them on the other side. We love hearing from you guys. Bring something to the table as you typically do. And we'll read them off coming back in about 30. All right, well, welcome back, everyone. 30 past 4 o'clock hour. I still hear the car across the street. It's just absolutely just. Have you ever seen when someone doesn't shovel properly and yet they just feel as though if they just keep stepping on the gas, they're going to figure out a way to get out of the driveway? And what happens? It gets stuck. It's all about playing the long game. It's all about playing the long game. All right, let's open it up. Man says, here we go. I'm hoping he says that in a positive way. Maybe 4 o'clock, he's ready to go. No banker hours. Okay, appreciate that. New headphones. Who this? AKA He 12 Man, AKA Heisman, AKA Steeler Nation, AKA Duval, also known as Vince. What's up, man? Good day, Q. Vince, Vinny Boombots. What's going on? My man, Pots and Pans, Ravens, 76, Be More, 54. Gotta love that handle. Eagles have weapons. Nobody don't want the OC job is crazy. Yeah, I would say it's a little local. Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with you on that one for many reasons. Eagles keeping Sirianni is fantastic for the NFC East. Big possibility ruin what's left of this great roster. Kind of like Chip Kelly gutted the roster, or when he thought that, Deshaun Watson was a gangbanger. That was just, oh my God. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. I didn't know Sirianni was the issue. No, I believe he. No one's reporting, the speculation. I believe he's the issue. I believe Nick Sirianni is the issue, period. I really do. I really believe he is the issue. I think he's an utter clown. I think they won a Super Bowl in spite of Nick Sirianni. I think his antics are wonderful when you win a football game, but when he tries that crap, it just grows old. It gets really, really old. Look, they're not getting, a Kubiak. They're not. They're not going to get a Kingsbury. They're not going to get a Kubiak. They need someone. They're waiting for someone maybe to come in who's young enough and they believe this is a great landing spot for me. Like, this got to be a great landing spot. Because I got to take advantage of it. Maybe young enough where, hey, man, there's only 32 of these jobs available. You're a young coordinator. Hang in there. And like I said, that's great. That's great. If you're willing to play the long game. Understanding some of these head coaches are on borrowed time. I mean, we don't even need to report this. Nick Sirianni going into next season will be a coach on the hot seat. Easily. But the elephant in the room is the friggin' head coach. And that's what I'm saying. If an offensive coordinator is smart, play the long game. If you know that the head coach is on borrowed time, then let him be the scapegoat. Do your job. Everything else will fall into place. I'm not going to sit here and tell you dumb it down for Jalen Hurts. No. They're too good of a team. It makes no sense. And you can bring in all these Packers assistants, Ram assistant. You can throw names left and right. Eventually, something's got to stick. And maybe, again, maybe they turn around and know something we don't know. I don't know. AD chimes around. Q. Excellent point on Aaron Glenn. He's not only fired the OC, the defensive coordinator, the DB coach, the quarterback coach, the defensive line coach, and the in-game passing coordinator. Q, you know me. I've been listening to you for 20 plus years. I'm a diehard Jets fan. I go all the way back to Todd days. Wow. This is an absolute abomination. Why does this man still have a job? I don't know. He hired all these guys. Like, it just makes no sense. It makes no sense. Fire the offensive coordinator, fire defensive coordinator, fire the DB's coach, fire the quarterback's coach, fire the defensive line coach, fire the friggin' passing game coordinator, fire the linebackers coach and assistants, and yet your ass still has a job. Come on, man. It's a horrible look. Horrible, horrible, horrible look that Aaron Glenn is still head coach of the Jets. And don't start with the, start with the, what did he ever do to you? What did Aaron Glenn do to you? You continue to just try to get the man fired. He wasn't, and he's going to be the coach. Relax and let his career. He's not. I got news for you. And by the way, I've been on a pretty friggin' hot streak of calling it accurately, 100% there, Vince, Duval, Steeler Nation. Hey, congrats, by the way. Congrats, you got a head coach. I'm happy to see that McCarthy's back with your original squad, the Steelers. I'm telling you right now, is Luca Brazzi on the chat? Is the Bunker Boy on the chat? We got to figure out if Luca's on the chat. Mark the tape. If the Jets go 3-14, 4-12, 5-12 next season, Aaron Glenn's gone. He's gone. He's got 1 year. That's it. I'm not trying to get anyone fired. I'm giving you my opinion like every friggin' other talking head does. Like, it's okay for these other jackasses to sit up there and call for heads, but I can't. He's a horrible head coach. He's horrible. He throws players under the bus. He doesn't protect his players. He's got no clue. He doesn't have any football acumen, and he can't read the friggin' room. Come on. Just stop. He's a horrible, 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 horrible head coach. Q, I can't believe Stefanski developed Sanders into a Pro Bowl quarterback and they fired him. Listen, some of these guys have no business being head coaches in the NFL. They don't. And some of these coordinators have no business being coordinators. They don't. Like, it just, think about, go back for a second. And I like to think, you guys know football, right? The majority of you guys know football, okay? But again, go back. If you've got a guy that comes in and he's selling, he's selling the room, right? He's selling the room. He's winning the press conference, and all guys want to run through a friggin' brick wall. And then you slowly and surely start to see the product on the field doesn't translate into running through a brick wall. Players are quitting. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no consistency. Guys are throwing each other under the bus. Coaching staffs are getting fired left and right, and you're getting blown out every single solitary week. If this is any other team, what would you say? The head coach needs to go. You would say it in a heartbeat. It's like when Jacksonville had the whole Urban Meyer experience. I mean, that was just a cluster, you know what? It was a horrible hire. Everyone knew it was a horrible hire. This guy had a cup of freaking coffee in the NFL. 13 games. That's it. 2-11. He had the off-the-field controversy, right? He had the viral bar video. He had the accusations of kicking the kicker, Josh Lambo, right? Mishandling players, clashing with GMs and staff. This guy was just your typical friggin' bully. That's all he was. He was a college bully that won and thought that shit translates with grown men, and it doesn't fly. It does not fly. So think about what he did. He turns around and they pair him up with Trevor Lawrence. Okay. Then he turns around and he hires that goofball from Iowa, right? The strength and conditioning guy that had all disgrace former guy, right? He had the video nonsense. He had the player staff issues. He got in an argument, right, with the owner, and it was a disaster. It was a disaster, and we saw that they couldn't win football games. Now, am I sticking Aaron Glenn in that conversation? No. It's apples and oranges. But where I'm sticking Aaron Glenn is every Sunday when he would battle with the media, and you're not going to win against the media, and you're certainly not going to win with the New York media. He would say stuff that made no sense. He would backtrack constantly. He has this contentious, petty, combative relationship with the media. All you need to do is go back and watch some of those press conferences, right? And he's got this, he wants to antagonize you. He wants to antagonize you. Then you turn around, and what about the whole quarterback situation with Fields or Taylor, right? The injury updates. Then you get all the sarcasm. You get all the back and forth. You get to throwing the players under the bus. Sitting there playing, well, we played hard. We didn't play hard. We need to play hard. We're going to play hard. We got this thing figured out. And you're getting your doors blown off by 35 friggin' points every other weekend. Really? Seriously. I mean, come on. Just stop. This guy's a clown. He's a clown. Everyone in New York knows he should be out of a friggin' job. He is not a good head coach. You will never win the battle with the media, especially when you're losing football games and you're not even competitive. Come on, man. Just stop. Just stop. They started 0-7. 0-7. They got a gift win against Cincinnati. Other than that, what the hell did they do? What did they do? And now you're firing guys left and right? That's an indictment on the head coach. It was a bad hire. That's okay. You move on from it. That's all that is. You move on from it. It's a bad hire. It's not trying to get someone fired. It's just stating the facts. The facts is he is not built to be an NFL head coach. I said the same friggin' thing when the Giants had Pat Shermer. I said the same friggin' thing when the Giants hired Joe Judge winning the press conference. Are you kidding me? Those teams quit. They quit on those coaches. It was an embarrassment. Pat Shermer was another friggin' clown. He wasn't built to handle New York. He had no business being the Giants head coach. They panicked. That's all they did. Why? Because we like what he was doing as a coordinator with who? The Philadelphia Eagles. He wins 5 games his first year, and then he wins 4 games his second year. And everyone knows what the hell happened that first year when he benches Eli Manning for Geno Smith. It was an embarrassment. They quit. That team did not play competitive football. And you're trying to run it back, and what happens is players now are looking around saying, it's the same old shit, man. Nothing is going to change. Joe Judge, 6-10, run through a brick wall, 4-13. Why? Because he was a Belichick disciple? I mean, come on, man. You got to be honest. Some of these guys have no business being head coaches. They don't. When I see a team give up a 3rd and 36 and it's a touchdown, when I see guys taking a knee on 3rd down and 6 from their own 6 because the head coach is a coward, doesn't want the quarterback to throw the football, or doesn't even. Brian Daboll did it with DeVito. Like, I'm saying to myself, get these guys the hell out of here. I watch enough of Aaron Glenn on the sidelines running around like a madman with one win, 1 blocked field goal. Like that was a high water mark of their season, running around like a jackass. That's all that was. That's all there was. In a game, by the way, you still lost 29-27. But hey, whatever. Some guys can't coach in the NFL. They're not meant to coach. And Kelsey, that's just, I mean, come on. That's just goofy talk. You're going to go the Jeff Saturday route now and then elevate Kelsey OC and then make him a head coach. There's a reason guys are not interested in the Eagles job. And I don't want to hear this crap about casting a wide net. I don't want to hear that anymore. I don't. I'm telling you right now, it boils down to the head coach. It really does. And who wants to be under this guy? Nobody wants to be their offensive coordinator under Nick Sirianni. Why is this so hard for Eagles fans to just comprehend? Are you like afraid to say it out loud? Is it going to upset the neighbors? You going to upset the kids? Your wife going to file for divorce? It's the antics. It's the demeanor. It's just the childish shit. Nobody wants to work under that. They just don't. But nobody wants to talk about it. But I told you, if there's one guy out there that sifts through all the nonsense and says, well, I'm going to play the long game and I'm going to suck up dealing with this frigging clown because he's on borrowed time, have at it. Have at it. Because the NFL wants young head coaches. The NFL wants the next new sexy, head coach / coordinator that becomes a head coach. Maybe one of these guys is around. Maybe it's the next Kubiak. Maybe it was like Ben Johnson, the McVays of the world, the McDaniels of the world. Who knows? Who knows? But you're going through all these guys like a Pez dispenser. You had interest in this guy? Nope. This guy? Nope. This guy? Nope. This guy? Nope. So again, it's fair to question what's prompting people to stay or take lesser jobs. Now, I told you this. I think for Brian Daboll, he wants to work with Cam Ward because we already saw the body of work with Jalen Hurts. So now I'm going in a difficult spot. I didn't do a very good job late in my Giants tenure. I handled things poorly. I handled the quarterback poorly, Daniel Jones. I was given a toy with Jackson Dart, but still too many design RPOs to get the kid killed. I lost the locker room. Let me go to Tennessee. Let me humble myself a little bit. Let me have a great defensive-minded guy in Robert Salah handle the defense unit, right? We know his background is DC. We know he's been a coach before with the Jets that flamed out. Let me show everyone I can take Cam Ward, who threw for 3,200 yards, who threw for 16, 17 touchdowns. We're going to play hard. We're going to be innovative. We're going to throw the football. This kid's going to come into his own. Now, everyone around the NFL is looking around saying, look at the job that Brian Daboll did after he got fired. Well, you're coming into a situation, if you're Brian Daboll and the Philadelphia Eagles, what are you really doing? Like, what are you really doing? What are you tinkering with? You got the toys right there. Yeah, you're going to make a little tinker here and there. But other than that, is it a heavy lift? No. The heavy lift is the pressure that's coming from the GM to the ownership. Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. The expectation, and probably from Nick Sirianni too, you got to get this shit figured out ASAP. And if Nick has any input, which he shouldn't, but he's a head coach and he's going to have input, then he's got to, if I'm a candidate and I'm speaking to Nick Sirianni, I want to know, all right, how much leeway, how much wiggle room? Will you let me come in and install my new offense? Let's work with Jalen's strengths. Let's figure out a way to run the football first and foremost. Let's kind of, look at the offensive line. If these guys, some of these tackles, these bookends are getting a little older, let's talk about the draft. Let's keep A.J. Brown. Let's start to utilize that tight end more in 2 tight end sets. Can we do that? And if you start to get reservations from Sirianni, well, Jalen's kind of an RPO guy. We like running the tush push. Yeah, we might keep A.J. Brown. We might trade A.J. Brown. Devontae's a nice player, but then I don't want the job. And I think a lot of that's happening in these interviews. Now, am I speculating it? Yeah. Can I go by those that I know that cover the team that I talk to? Yeah, I trust these guys. And I think Sirianni is a turnoff. I really do. And you also want to be able to have freedom to be an aggressive play caller. And I want some credit. So if I'm Brian Daboll and all of a sudden the Titans go from 16 points a game to 26 and Cam Ward throws for 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns and 6 picks, everyone around the league is sitting saying, wow, look at the job Brian Daboll did with Cam Ward. Are you kidding me? That's a hell of a job. And they're keeping this kid upright? Wow. Because everyone wanted this kid benched, jettison this kid after 5 or 6 games, when that whole franchise turns upside down, getting rid of the head coach and the GM. So like I said, risk to reward. It's all about playing the long game. Some of these guys know how to play the game. Some of these guys don't. Joe Brady's in a perfect spot. He's in a perfect spot. Insert, boom. Here you go. That is a perfect, if you think about it, that is the smart hire. That is the smart hire by Buffalo. Seriously. Pittsburgh hiring Mike McCarthy, not the sexiest hire, but you see Mike McCarthy, how much that Steelers franchise means to him because he grew up as a kid, a fan of Pittsburgh. That is a safe, solid hire because they're going to win football games. They're going to be competitive. I don't know what they're going to do at the quarterback position, but the Bills understand, we're keeping it in-house, man. We're going to keep it in-house because it's been a cluster, over the last week since they fired McDermott. And if history repeats itself, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. It's a bitter pill to swallow if you're Bills Mafia. You had no Burrow, no Jackson, no Mahomes, who's been Josh Allen's kryptonite, and you got bounced in the playoffs. And remember, too, Joe Brady interviewed for the Ravens head coaching job. Joe Brady interviewed for the Miami Dolphins head coaching job. Joe Brady was in the process of interviewing with the Las Vegas Raiders. So the Bills are kind of looking around. All right, let me peek through the back door. We better figure something out. And this is what happens. Sometimes you try to get a little too cute, too smart for the room, and you miss out. Brady's promoted. Chris Tabor left for the same position with the Dolphins. He was their special teams coach. Offensive, the line coach, Kromer, announced his retirement. So you needed some type of stability. You really did. You want the Bills are looking at it like this. I want a head coach CEO. That's what we want. And we have someone that's already familiar that has a lot of respect in the building. That's a home run in the NFL. It really is. And Brady aligns with what? The thinking of who? The GM. And the GM at the end of the day, yeah, he's a little goofy, but Brandon Beane made the call. And I think the Bills are going to be fine. The Bills will be a playoff team next year. They're too talented. You know, it's a fresh start, new voice. I can't say the same for what's going on with the Jets, and I don't know if I can say the same what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles. I have no idea ultimately about Arizona's of the world, Raiders of the world. I don't. You know, there's a thought that Jim Schwartz might take the or he's in the running to be the Browns' new head coach. Now, you can sit there and say, well, wait a second. You know, the Browns had that second interview with the young kid, the passing game coordinator with the Rams. You know, does anyone want to take the Browns job? You know, Schwartz is a defensive-minded guy. Jimmy Schwartz is a hell of a defensive coordinator. Hell of a defensive coordinator. So and it's an asset with a top 10 defense. And I think he's still in the running, right, to get the job. And obviously he's familiar with the Browns. I mean, he's a football lifer. He is a football lifer. But again, if you don't go in that direction, you better figure it out, because you also need a head coach that aligns with your thinking when it comes to who's going to be the quarterback of the future. And that's one of the problems that Cleveland has. The Raiders are going to figure it out because we know they're going to draft most likely Mendoza. The Jets, bridge quarterback. Arizona, bridge quarterback. Miami, bridge quarterback. So this is where you're at in the NFL, right? And I'm telling you that I think, again, you know, some of these guys, like anyone, you go to a job interview for what? The job interview, right? Because you want to have your name out there. It creates buzz. That's what it does. It creates buzz. You know, I talked to my buddy the other day. He's looking for a job, right? He's been an account guy in radio for years. And he's like, I don't want to take the interview. I said, just take the interview. He's like, it's a waste of time. I'm not going to get a job. Doesn't matter. It creates buzz. Take the interview. You put your name in a hat. If it doesn't work out, maybe there's a roll down the road. Or, you know, you just let someone else know on a Wednesday you interviewed for a job on a Tuesday. It creates demand. You're in demand. It just builds you up a little more. And I'm not going to tell you that some of these guys look at Cleveland and they look at it as a landing spot. All I know is this. There's 32 head coaching positions in the NFL. 32. And sometimes these guys think this is my last crack, right? This is my last crack. Robert chimes in, big time Packers fan. Q, did you see that McCarthy definitely wants Rodgers to return? Do you think he does? We know about their relationship. I don't know if you want Aaron Rodgers who has 1 foot already out the door. Like, sentiment is great, but sentiment doesn't win football games. It just doesn't. I mean, I think it was 6 or 7. I listened to a presser. I think it was 6 or 7 minutes into the press conference, and everyone was waiting for the elephant in the room, right? You know, you want Aaron Rodgers back, right? I mean, that's McCarthy's guy. That's McCarthy's guy. But Aaron Rodgers, to me, he's on his last legs. He's on his last legs. Think about the motto of consistency by that franchise, the 4th Steelers head coach since 1969. And here's another little caveat. He's the only one in that span that has an offensive background. So you know he's going to call plays. He's going to take over that offense. I don't know. I don't know if Rodgers is coming back. Listen to Rizzo in Cleveland this morning. He said they've been forcing Jim Schwartz on any potential head coaching candidates. Doesn't seem like they actually want a head coach. Okay. I mean, they need a head coach, do they not? Does anyone want to be their head coach? I think Stefanski in Atlanta, is interesting because I think if you gave him true serum, he wants Kirk Cousins as a quarterback, not Michael Penix. Mike in Ohio chimes in. Q. At this point, I don't really care who the hell the head coach. We need a quarterback. You are a diehard. Mike goes all the way back to Brian Sipe. So you're talking in the 70s. Look, I'll take the interview, even though I think I'm not getting the job. It sucks because you still need to be motivated, but they just had multiple, gentlemen guys pretty much pull themselves out of the running. Jesse Minter would have been a great hire. He would have, but he lands in Baltimore. Um, I feel as though we're overlooking, but whose name is still out there? Whose name is still out there that just freaking got fired? Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott's name is right there. You can't sit there and tell me that is Schwartz a better option than Sean McDermott? I mean, this is a guy again that, won football games, 500 in the playoffs, but won football games. If you're Cleveland, are you thinking defensive minded first and foremost? We have a top 10 defense. We got players in their prime. We believe we might have a quarterback. I don't know. Nobody really knows what the hell they're going to do at the quarterback position. Nobody does. Nobody does. Not even the talking heads up there. They can speculate all they want. But McDermott, to me, makes sense. He would be their top candidate. But there's, from what I read and what I gather, there's no interview in sight just yet. Like, you're talking about your confidence level. If you're casting this wide net, okay, then you have to bring him in for an interview. You have to request an interview with him, do you not? Why? Because you're a couple weeks into your coaching search? That means nothing to me. It means absolutely nothing to me. You have to cast your wide net. Just to let you know, right now, 1.71 billion estimated to be bet on Super Bowl 60 illegal sports books. There's going to be a lot of money, especially with the player props. There's a lot of money already coming in Sam Darnold MVP at plus 130. But we got 2 weeks for that. First 7-figure bet came in Circa Sports in Nevada. A better wagered 1.1 million on New England, money line at plus 188. So that would win him 2.1 million. So Seahawks 3.5 favorites, right? In the look ahead lines. It opened 3.5 to 5. The total is interesting too. Now, I told you that total was going to hit in that NFC Championship. Lloyd and I, we love that total on BYP. I think the same could be said with this. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game because if Seattle takes the lead, New England's going to have to throw themselves back in this game. But the total actually went from 46.5, so it was juiced to the over. It's actually been bet down. There's been a ton. Like I know Jeff Sherman, he's the VP at Westgate, and I shot him a text, and he pretty much told me it's public domain. They're getting a ton of one-way action on Seattle. A ton of one-way action. They're right now, they're sitting at 4.5 now. It's being bet down. And if you go to August prior to the season, a better at BetMGM wagered 150 on 3 Seattle Seahawks future bets. 50,000 on the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl, 60-1 odds. Wow, which would net him $3 million. That's onions. 50,000 on the Seahawks to win the NFC at 28-1. So he's already netted 1.4. 50,000 on the Seahawks to make the playoffs at plus 185. So right now he's basically sitting at Almost almost 1.5 million. Good for him. And if Seattle wins, he's going to net another 3 million. Now he cashed out the first two at 1.49. Now he's got the opportunity he can hedge if he wants. I mean, he can hedge. He can grab the Pats at 4.5 underdog plus 195 on the money line if he wants to. But for 50,000 and a payout of 3, I would ride it out with Seattle. How about this one? A bettor at Circa before the season placed a $100 wager on August 25th on an exact Super Bowl result. Patriots defeat the Seahawks at 3,100 to 1 odds. It would win him. It would net him 3,100. And then we know El Presidente. We know our guy DP Portnoy wagered, I think 60 or 70 grand on New England, 35 to 1. So if they win, that's 1.75. Man, crazy, crazy, crazy. Unbelievable. If McDermott can't get a job, please San Fran grab him as DC. That's what I'm saying. Like, there has to be a reason some of these guys, I mean, especially a guy like McDermott that just got fired, but we know his body of work and his track record. Makes no sense, Tom and Summers' point. There you go, Q. You're pissing on the Eagles once again. It's not Sirianni, you friggin' clown. Okay. I mean, did you have to go the friggin' clown route on a Tuesday, though, Tommy? Right? A little harsh. Joe D chimes in. Q, when are you doing the player props? Next week. Next week, player props. That'll be like Thursday or Friday. And we'll have an hour-long BYP with myself and Lloyd Vance. Hour long. Q, isn't it funny how the mainstream media is pretty quiet on Bob Kraft? Wink, wink, wink. Well, we know about his transgressions. Right? We know about that. Kasha Sports chimes in. Q, always digging the show, enjoying it. It's always entertaining. I know you were talking about some of these missed calls. What's the worst mistake you've ever seen during a sports game? And then he actually hedged it and it said Shanahan not challenging the play that led to the moments that followed, putting a backup tight end to protect Brock Purdy on the following drive. That was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. And I know what you're talking about. You're going back to, obviously, the games over the weekend and McVay, who, you know, by all counts, really is, I don't know. Here's another thought that, let's just say, now hear me out, because I know Tom, Sarge, Joe D, I know you guys are going to criticize me for this comment, but that's fine. I'll say it anyway. What if, now you don't like when I say follow me, so I won't say that, but go along for a walk with me. If Seattle wins the Super Bowl and they put up a lot of points and Darnold looks unbelievable, wins the MVP, they win it, going away 38-14, then why wouldn't the Eagles call up Seattle? And this is me. I request an interview with Clint Kubiak. Now, I request an interview with Clint Kubiak. I bring him in and I ask him, about the offensive coordinator position. And then I kind of do one better. And I sit there and I'm like, Clint, we love your body of work. Remarkable job, what you did with Sam Darnold. Seattle put up a lot of points. We've been extremely impressed. You're a young guy. You're 38. We know about the family name. We get it. Gary Kubiak, here we go. You interested in the head coaching job? You interested in the head coaching job? Now, it's an awkward conversation, but Jeffrey Lurie has a right, even though he has a head coach under contract, he has a right to interview a Clint Kubiak for offensive coordinator, but then kind of slip in there. Would you be interested in being the Eagles head coach? And a candidate doesn't care how you get it done. Clint Kubiak's not going to sit there and say, well, what about Nick? Clint Kubiak's going to sit there and say, tell me a little more. Now, what's going to happen is if Seattle wins and their offense plays well, I think already we know that Kubiak is a hot hire. What I feel will happen is Tom Brady will do everything in his power to bring Kubiak in as the Raiders' new head coach. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. It really does. He's got that young, cocky, bravado, brash, but a touch of humbleness. The bloodlines, stick him right there with the Raiders and Tom Brady, by the way. 15 coaches the Raiders interviewed, 6 were working in the conference championship games. That tells you they're casting a wide net, but they also went to coup de grace. So you had several of those coaches that had pretty good performances, and one, oh, by the way, is going to be coaching in the Super Bowl. That should be the clear favorite to land the spot in Vegas. And like I said, Clint Kubiak's his track record went up. You want to hear about Home Depot? His cred went up because they scored 31 points against a Rams team that was an elite defensive team. So I think, if anything, Kubiak's right there. But if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, hell, I'd bring him in. We want to interview you. We want to get your thoughts on our offense. Yeah, sure, we're going to interview for the offensive coordinator position, wink, wink. But would you be interested in the head coaching job? Like, feelings be damned. You're talking about a team that just went 14-3. Okay? They got carved up, did the 49ers and the Rams against this offense. They averaged 36 points, almost 400 yards of total offense. I want that guy. I want that guy. So that's something that bears worth watching. McDermott doesn't get hired. Stefanski does. You can never convince me there wasn't a conspiracy theory against Sanders. Stefanski is nowhere near the coach McDermott is. For someone that is a Steelers and Jacksonville fan, you spend a lot of time focused on what's going on in Cleveland. Unbelievable. What's the May Super Bowl MVP number? You're talking prop right now? Let me see. Player prop. Drake May. I got it updated on DK. Oh, look at that. It's actually moved a little bit. Huh. See a live line. That's interesting. I'm trying to get a live line in real time. I'll find it for you. Let me go right here. Hold on. MVP odds. All right, here you go. So this is live. Darnold's at plus 125. I think May is at like 215. Let me refresh. 230. Sam Darnold's at plus 125. Drake May's at plus 230. JSN's at plus 500. Here's a dark horse. Kenneth Walker's at plus 700. Stevenson's at plus 3,000. You have 13 players that are plus 10,000 odds or better. So May, a little bit of movement. Obviously, Darnold's leading the field right now, plus 125. May's at plus 230. So there you go. Peyton fired his OC. What a hack scapegoating the OC when he calls the plays disgusting. The comments I got on the Peyton take the other day too. Some guy is crushing Sean Payton because of the way he handled Russell Wilson was fascinating, and it made me laugh at the same time. All right, got to start wrapping it up. 15 past 5 o'clock hour. Oh, so you'll be able now. We're setting it up along with SR 1029, Kicks, Rumble, YouTube, X, but you will also now be able to find me. Very happy to announce I'll be part of the Millions family. So you can check me out. You go to my channel, Rich Q on Q, but you see it's kind of hyphenated. So you go to millions.com, you'll see all my content. We're in talks right now, either expanding the show or shortening up day wise, but expanding it hour wise. But we're going to try to fire off live on Millions as well. So that's another, and that's all free, these platforms. That's all free. Even though I do appreciate the one guy coming in and spending $2.99 saying to fire Aaron Glenn a couple weeks ago. That was money well spent. All right, good stuff on a Tuesday. Appreciate you guys keeping us locked in as always. We're powered by our good friends over Fresh Roasted Coffee. 20% off your first purchase, BYP20. That'll get you involved in the conversation as well. Savings on this nasty, nasty, snowy. Last couple of days has just been brutal. Also, Three Brooks Bourbon. Broncos country. That's right. A little late there, Miguel. But get ready with tea. So as I mentioned, Kicks, Rumble, X, YouTube, SR 1029 FM The Game, Coastal Sports Digital Network. You download the AUDACY app, but you can also check me out on millions.co, millions.co. Follow my channel, Rich Q on Q. You'll see the hashtags. They're just throwing the content creator, the search engine, Rich Quinones or Rich Q. Follow the channel. It's free content. The betting content, especially now with the NFL almost over and then going into March Madness in the NBA, not sure if they're going to firewall, paywall that, but I'll still have the regular weekly BYP on the YouTube channel, which is, 30 minutes. That's also on AUDACY. That's also on Spotify, Apple. That's all free content for you guys as well, as always. So, all right, got to start wrapping up. Got hoops later on tonight. Good stuff with the comments. A lot of NFL talk we are able to dive into. Back at it, Manana, on a Woosah Wednesday. We'll see if we can track down Costco for a little bit. Don't forget, check out the notifications on the YouTube channel for when we will fire off. Tomorrow, I am going to get into a little NBA, and I am going to get into a little hot stove baseball on a Woosah Wednesday, in addition to the NFL, because I got some NFL very well. By the way, tonight, NBA, little light night. How about my Knicks? Can we talk about my Knicks? Can we talk about my Knicks? They had a very nice win the other day over the Philadelphia 76ers. Just saying, 27 and 18. 27 and 18, they won two straight, Nets and the Sixers. I said if they lost to the Nets, Brown would get fired. And I didn't even play the game, but they wound up winning by like 60 points. Go figure. But they got the Kings tonight, so that should be a fun, high-scoring game. But the Knicks right now sit game and a half back of Toronto and Boston in the Atlantic. So little NBA tomorrow and a little hot stove baseball as well. Last question. Where did the Broncos go? Couldn't fire that off. Where do the Broncos go from here? Where do the Broncos go in the draft? Oh man, I mean, we got plenty of time to dissect that. You know what I would like to see the Broncos? I would like the Broncos to get another playmaker. I really would. The Evan Ingram. Remember how I kept talking about Evan Ingram, Evan Ingram, Evan Ingram? What the hell did Evan Ingram do with the Broncos this year? He made me look like a fool, which is not hard to do, but he made me look like a fool. Evan Ingram did nothing. Did he even show up? Did he even have a cup of coffee? How many balls did Evan Ingram catch in the regular season with Bo Nix slinging it? Let's take a gander, shall we? 16 games. Are you kidding me? Am I reading this correct? Oh, that's rushing. Wow. I was like, what the hell? Let's go back. Evan Ingram, 461 yards, 50 receptions, 1 touchdown. He was a non-factor. I like Clifford Franklin. He got to catch the ball, though. I would go another weapon if I was Bronco Ball. I would go another weapon. I really would. And you can always go pass rush, too. Why are you giving it away, Q? Giving what away? I'm not giving anything away. What am I giving away? What are you talking about? I didn't give anything away. I didn't give the player. I told you what the bets were. I'm not giving you any. I said dark horse. That doesn't mean I'm playing it. That's not a Q delight. That's not a Q pick. It's not a 6-pack of Q. It's not a Q cut. I'm just letting you know. Jeez, my God. Yeah, I can't win with Luca Brasi. Marking the tape. Well, I'll wait for Thursday's show. Why? Because I want to go NBA? Well, according to Vince, the NFL's over. So no one's going to watch Super Bowl. So we got to tap into a little NBA. Just tap, tap, tap. A little hot stove baseball, right? Load up Bo Nix. Maybe Denver takes BA after June 1st. BA Baracus? That was a great trailer I saw for the A team. You ever go on those old school history trailers on Facebook? Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I finished a rip. Fantastic. Fantastic. I thought it was very well done. I did. I thought it was a good movie. It wasn't, it depends on your taste of movies. But you can't go wrong with Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. You can't. Steven Yeun, right? From Walking Dead. Kyle Chandler, right? Friday Night Lights. Can't go wrong with that crowd. I liked it. I know it averaged about a 6.8 on Tomatoes, but I'll give it a 7.6 Q rating. I'll give it a 7.6 Q rating. Yeah. And I got one more season of Homeland. So I got some new shows I'll announce to you guys on Wednesday. Ayuk. Yeah, because pretty much they told him he ran his last route with the 49ers. All right, we'll get into a little needs tomorrow on a Woosah Wednesday, along with the NBA and Hot Stove Baseball. All right, you goofballs have a wonderful Sports Tuesday. Show will be up on demand. Keep it locked in. As always, I'm Rich Quinones. If you guys are out and about, please, please, please give yourself a little more time to get to wherever you need to go. Because the weather is still nasty. Back in the saddle manana on a Woosah Wednesday. Have a good Sports Tuesday. As always, this is On Cue. I'm Rich Quinones. Be safe, be sound. Hasta luego, buen día.